this meeting to order. This is the Kensington Town Council meeting for December 18th. We can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next item on the agenda is a moment of silence. If anybody has anyone that we should lift up, please let me know. I would lift up Kathy Byers and her family. Kathy lost her son last week. So Kathy's a local realtor here in Kensington. I'll lift her up, her and her family. Anyone else? Okay, if we could just bow our head for a moment. Okay, thank you very much. All right, council, you all received the minutes for the November 13th town council meeting. And then the minutes for our special closed meeting on the 15th. I saw Anne had just a couple of notes about the minutes, and Susan resent them. I don't recall seeing anything else. So if we can, were you okay with the changes that she made?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Susan.
All right, we can get a motion to approve the minutes. And I'll speak at once.
I move that we approve the minutes from the council meeting held last November. What was the date? 13th.
Is there a second?
Do we have a separate motion?
Yeah, this is for just the town council meeting for
I'll
the
second.
13th. Second for Darren. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We get a motion for the closed session meeting minutes.
So I move that we approve the minutes from the closed session of November 15th.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move down to the mayor and town council. We want to acknowledge that we did have the closed session on the 15th to speak a bit with our town attorney and ongoing negotiations with the flats, which is the 10509 Summit Ventures LLC development. Okay, and then we want to, Matt, I'm going to let you do B.
Sure. So we just want to acknowledge that the staff is planning to present to the mayor and council an ordinance at our January 8th, 2025 town council meeting, which will propose the sale of 3420 Pliers Mill Road, also known as Joseph Park. The council will set a public hearing date, most likely for the February meeting, which public comment will be requested. And then the council will make a decision on whether to proceed on that ordinance.
Okay. So that would put it in March, correct? The March meeting?
Yeah, our standards usually to keep if the public hearing open an extra month, so we're probably looking at if the council moves forward with the sale in April.
Okay.
Could I ask a question about that? So Matt, I know you and I have had some back and forth and I didn't have time to respond to your last message, but to prepare for that, I still think there's additional analysis that would be helpful to have in the public record around the financial implications and the case that you were putting forward, but also as we talked about a few meetings ago, the other ways that town needs could be financed, whether that's bond, tax, or delaying projects, so that there's full information available. And then I know that you're also working to pull together background information from the archives and some other analysis. So I would like to request that all of that be brought forward to in the public record.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you want that in the January meeting for the?
It's not going to happen in the introduction. So we won't discuss it in the introduction. It would happen in the public hearing phase in February. So in January, all we're doing is introducing the ordinance. All we would do is we wouldn't even discuss it. It's just introduced. And then in February, we would have a public hearing. And then our our typical response is to keep the public hearing open an extra month. So we could continue the public hearing through March. And then the council would make a decision on whether to proceed with the ordinance or not in April.
But I'm asking, when would the information that Anne is requesting be available?
Not until February.
So the February hearing?
Yeah,
Could we, obviously, I think the council would like to see that earlier
sure.
than at the meeting. So, does that work for you? to
Yeah,
have it
if we
Okay.
can get it
Towards the end of
sooner,
January? or-
Okay.
and then also make sure that it's available for the public to see so that they can.
That could go out
Have
with the
information.
meeting, agenda.
Okay.
Is it possible for maybe you and Anne to actually, I think there's been a little bit of confusion about what exactly you want to see. So I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, and if other members have,
Well,
we had some discussion about this before in the October.
yeah, but I think there's just a little bit of
Confusion.
confusion.
I'm happy to sit too, because I think I had similar questions.
Yeah, I mean,
so-
there's only so much we can talk about. You know, obviously, if the town were to borrow funds, there's really only one avenue, and we've discussed that. It's the tax increase that we're kind of struggling with. That's a much larger discussion that has come through a budget forum. What we can do is provide base numbers on what a 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent property tax increase.
Right.
That's something very simple we can provide. If you want something in more detail than that, it's really more of a budget discussion, kind of figuring out where we are with the CIP, kind of what we need to look at, the projects we have in front of us. It's a much larger discussion. It's not something that we're going to be able to provide in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
That sound good?
Though we do have a lot of that information available from the last budget forum.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm
Yeah.
happy to, talk with you further. It sounds like
Yeah.
Nate would participate too, just to outline what is feasible and what is highest value to inform the conversation.
Okay, I think it'd just be really helpful since there's just this, confusion about
Okay.
what exactly, how it's to be written and how you want to see it prepared and presented. Okay, good. So you should probably plan to do that, early January, so you can have that ready. So the whole council could look at it by the end of January,
Yeah.
if that works, okay. Right. Okay, all right, well, we have a special guest in the meeting today. And is everybody here that you want here? Yes. Hi, Dennis, how are you? Good. Your son just dragged you to a meeting?
Yeah.
I know. What, you haven't been to one in a really long time. It's been a very long time. So I know you are, does everybody know Dennis McCurdy? Dennis is a longtime business owner. His office is on Perry Avenue. And he owns some property that he's been, I think you still own Frankly Pizza, where Frankly Pizza is. Yeah, that little shopping center. And some other property around town that I think that's the only one now, isn't it? That in your office? Yeah. So, but Dennis has been a longtime business owner here in the town, and I feel like I've known him forever since I've gotten involved in town politics. And but he started the Kensington Business District Association, KBDA, who was very helpful in getting the kickstart of introducing our businesses to, especially after we allowed alcohol. That was a big thing of where of inviting new businesses into town and to and talked me into providing dumpster service to Frankly Pizza and Potomac Sweets. Thanks, Dennis. I managed the building next door, and they had no place for a dumpster or recycling. So we worked out a deal where they now have that for cost, so we don't make any money on it. So anyway, so I get to manage that. So much fun. Anyway, but what we have for you tonight is a little proclamation and a gift as you are preparing to, I guess, close KBDA or have it enfolded with Kensington Ken. I believe that's folded in there, and that's very exciting. And Is there other items? Are they being donated to the archives for our own records or? Okay. Okay, do you want to read that first or? You just announce who you are at the podium.
Elisenda Salasole. I own Kensington Road Bookshop. I've known Dennis for 22 years. He was one of the first people I met when I opened my shop, and I've known him as a business leader, as a business neighbor, and as a friend. And I want to say thank you for all your support over the years. So I have two letters. This is from Kensington Historical Society. It says, "Dear Mr. McCurdy, the Board of Directors of the Kensington Historical Society wishes to join with the town of Kensington in expressing our appreciation for your years of work with the Kensington Business District Association and your contributions to the quality of life in our town. We particularly appreciate the work that KBDA did to write and publish Kensington, A Picture History. There are many residents of town who cherish their copies. For those of us who weren't around at the time to be able to buy a copy, we very much appreciate you permitting KHS to reprint the book digitally so that it will be available for all. It's a fun read and is also widely used as a resource document. I've personally enjoyed the times we've been able to talk, so I've been able to hear tales about the history of the Kensington business community. You know a lot of interesting facts about our business district. KHS is looking forward to working with you to preserve these stories through our oral history project so that they are available for generations to come. Along those lines, we are so pleased that you've expressed interest in donating the KBDA records to the Kensington Town Archives so that we will have the KBDA collection available for future researchers, historians, and interested town residents. KHS and the town archives look forward to working with you on both of those projects so that we have the history of your contribution to the town saved for the future. On behalf of KHS and the town archives, we thank you for the many ways that you've contributed to our community. Sincerely, Catherine DeWitt, President, Kensington Historical Society. I also have a little letter from Kensington Can. Dear Mr. McCurdy, on behalf of the Kensington Can Board of Directors and members, we thank you for your many years of work with the Kensington Business District Association. Life for Kensington Town residents and business owners has been made richer by your efforts in uniting the community, organizing events that have become well-loved traditions, advocating for the common good, and helping those less fortunate. Thank you for entrusting Kensington Can to carry on the KBDA mission. We hope you will remain as an advisor and member as we deeply respect your leadership and contributions you have made to the business community. Tyler Whitmore, President, Kensington Can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. I can say that we were able to use the Kensington history book when we put up the train signs. There was some disagreement from the gentleman who was helping us with that, how Kensington was named. And we were able to use the book to show him how Mr. Brainerd, what he came up, or Brainerd Warner came up with. Basically in the back rooms of CSX, probably passing out cigars and getting them to agree to changing from Knoll Station to Kensington. So we were able to win that argument with the CSX historian. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, so thank you. Is your son coming back or?
He's picking up the baby and his wife.
Oh, okay. All right, well, should we wait for him? Is he picking him up from far away or just Kaiser? Okay. I think we'll hold off on the next step until he comes back. Would that be okay? Were you gonna leave? You probably can't leave because he's gone, right? You gotta wait. All right, so you're just stuck here. You see.
Just in passing, Tracy,
Uh-huh.
did you ever heard the story?
The what?
I think he should go.
Yeah,
to the
no,
mic. That sounds like a
we should go
story
to
we
the
need to
podium.
hear.
Let's kill some time.
For the record, please.
Yes. Tell us. I haven't.
Yeah, you have to speak into the mic, so it's on.
Affordable.
I sat on that committee, trying to bring liquor to Kensington, completely dry,
Yes.
and I was there with Chris Van Hollen,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a fellow down, I can't remember the name of the street, next street down, off Howard, who was very seriously objecting to any liquor.
It was probably Frank O'Donnell on Farragut, or your neighbor lives down. Cindy.
He would stand up, really complain.
Yeah, Sandra.
At
Mhm.
one point in time, sitting there, and Chris Van Hollen, and Frank stood up and he said, you all don't seem to understand. I live right on this main street. And somebody is gonna get too much cigarette. And they're gonna come to my house and they're gonna pee in the bushes.
What?
And I said, Frank, I can take care of that tonight. He got so angry, he walked out. We had to vote right then and it passed.
Oh,
Well, it passed to put it in on a referendum because the residents had to vote for it.
Right.
Yeah. And I admittedly, the first time it was up for referendum, voted to keep it dry. I just thought it was kind of cool that we didn't have alcohol, and I was young and stupid. But it just never occurred to me that the reason we don't have good alcohol or good restaurants is because we don't sell beer and wine. Never occurred to me. So, but I was very young.
And now look at you, there's a beer named after your baby town.
it's come a long way.
Yes, it has. That's a good story. Yeah, it was on Fawcett and Sandy's, where
Yes,
Sandy
I
lives now.
remember.
Yeah. So,
And so in the past, I didn't start doing that.
who did started that?
George Wood.
Oh. I know the name, but yeah.
Where was that?
That was over there where the next to Manny's, that building that
Over by the 7-Eleven.
yeah, you can't use it. It's
Newspapered over.
yeah,
Oh,
it's newspapered
okay.
over.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of like a craft store. He had a bunch of things, a vacuum store. I mean, there were some other things. Yeah, I remember him.
Hoover show.
Yeah. Yeah. So
If he didn't start it, do we still need to do the proclamation?
You got us liquor.
well, I think I would like to wait for his son to come back.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just go on and move down to number 3, since we have a family here waiting for that anyway. Okay, Matt?
Sure, council, before you this evening, we have a driveway variance for 10609 Wheatley Street. The applicants Kabir and Lindsay Archuleta have installed a turf stone permeable concrete pavers in their driveway at a width of 17 feet 8.5 inches. This exceeds our allowable width within section 5-107B of the town code. There is an existing curb cut. Mr. Archuleta put down the permeable concrete pavers with the understanding that grass would go in between them, and so he could park 2 vehicles. There's a staff report in addition to a PDF and PowerPoint from Mr. Archuleta explaining some of the reasoning for his driveway width expansion pertaining to the width of Wheatley Street and some of the issues and concerns that they've had with trying to get vehicles off of the street.
I have a question.
Yes.
I think it was in the note to the council, but is the request to add, you said add an apron
Yeah, so
and then keep the
correct. So
permeable surface?
the permeable concrete pavers have already been installed.
Yeah, I saw. the photo.
So they need to file a retroactive permit. The permit's on hold until the council makes a decision on whether the variance to expand the driveway width from what would be allowable at 11 feet to 17 feet 8.5 inches. The only concern the staff has is that there needs to be either a concrete apron or a concrete substrate beneath the first part of the driveway expansion. That basically this will absorb the impact of the vehicles from the road into the apron. This is a standard Montgomery County policy. We follow that as Councilmember Engel, know you're familiar with this process as well.
Personally,
Yeah, so staff's not pushing back on what's proposed. If a driveway is going to be expanded in the town, it's still less than 20 feet, which is the county minimum, maximum for a width. We have seen 20-foot driveways in the town with a corresponding garage. This would override our current language, but this is a different type of material. So we are not opposed to it.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know sometimes we're concerned when crafting variances about the precedent set, but I think the idea here is that it would set a positive precedent.
We believe so. As I mentioned to Councilmember Bartram and the mayor, the staff would like to change the code at some point to allow driveway widths beyond 11 feet with permeable pavers. We think that's in the best interest of the town, specifically our public works team. Anytime there's a snow event, leafing, anything like that, getting vehicles off the street is a benefit to our public works team. Also, stormwater, in addition, although Wheatley is not the narrowest street in the town, it is narrow. And having two cars being able to pass is a better option than only having a 9 or 10 foot width in between parking.
Would that get introduced?
It would be introduced at the January meeting. So
Thank you. I'm supportive.
And what you were describing that is that increasing the allowable width is contingent upon using permeable pavers?
yeah. So we've seen a lot of residents looking to expand beyond the 11 feet. A lot of the residents were grandfathered in prior to that regulation going into place. Back in 2015, we amended the code that would allow a driveway width up to 20 feet if there was a corresponding garage. Obviously, the town continues to change, materials change, and staff would like to eventually change that language that, a width beyond 11 feet would be fine if permeable pavers are used, or there's some kind of, event or situation that would allow a wider width. So.
Just to clarify your question, though, we're not changing the code in January, where we would consider a
It's a
variance.
variance.
I just want to make sure that.
But now I have another,
Sure.
well, maybe this is for the future, and I just can't remember whether within the historic district, this would be subject to any special review, the proposed change, but.
I can't speak to that specifically. I know there are some materials, specifically I'm thinking of George Meyer's house, that has the concrete apron and then he goes to stone, and there's some different types of materials in the
I
historic
guess it's
district.
not covered.
We would defer to them on the initial hop. And as long as,
Yeah, I think.
yeah,
that's right.
as long as it's less than 20 feet in width, it follows under the county regulation. And technically, if there was a corresponding garage, it would be compliant with us. Where there's no garage here, that's the issue. So,
But to your question, as somebody who put one in, I have an asphalt driveway. I'm a historic home. There's no,
There's no.
the materials don't
Yeah,
matter.
they
What they do care about is if you have a pre-existing, and granted, your house is not historic, but if they have a pre-existing driveway, they generally don't want you to expand it. We brought ours in, I know, but you can replace it in kind, different materials,
Yeah.
same materials, but what materials for a driveway don't matter.
Interesting, actually, that they don't cite what materials they prefer.
I mean, they will tell you when you go to ask them what they prefer. The HPC is
Right.
not shy about telling you what they prefer. It's just
Okay.
what is regulated. And
Okay,
to Ann's
yeah.
point, the exterior of the home is the complete purview of the Department of Interior. They'll tell you what they want the inside to be,
Mhm.
but they have actually zero.
Oh,
Right.
So-
Aw,
Mhm.
okay, all right, any questions?
Darren had a question.
Darren, do you have another question, or you?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, does anybody in the audience have a question, or do you all want to make a statement or anything, or? You're okay?
I just have a quick question. Now, what is the curb cut width? The existing curb cut width?
I don't have a measurement on that. I think it was around 20 feet.
Yeah,
It's about the same as the next
I
door
think it's around
neighbor.
20
Yeah.
feet, yeah.
There's a
okay.
pretty, about the same width.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the driveway dimensions, because
Yeah.
even though it's all the same material, it looks like you are incorporating what would be, walkways in the design that you put down.
Mhm.
So, well, in the picture, it looks like all driveway. That's also, access points for you all to get around. the
Yeah, it's a
vehicles.
pad to get
Yeah.
in and out of.
Mhm.
Okay. Does anybody on the screen have a question? Okay, not seeing any hands. So council, how do you want to proceed?
So the action is to move for a
We
variance
would
of
vote
January.
on, yes.
I guess I would have a point for the homeowners, for the large lot of families. So there are potential conditions that we're thinking about here, right? You do understand what it means, and you need a different apron where they meet the pavers. Or putting a substrate under, but that kind of defeats the purpose of what you did by putting impermeable pavers. So like the least thing to do would be to put in a new apron that meets properly with the pavers. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they're going to get destroyed. Just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I would just so the. Sorry.
Thanks, Kabir.
And which option we chose, would that be up to us, or is that something that council would instruct us to do?
We're open to either. As Councilmember Crimmins said, the concrete substrate would basically defeat the purpose of the pavers.
It would
in
be the
first,
full
So
area of the driveway,
recommendation
not just
would
the
be
front.
a full concrete apron. We would be willing to work with you that through our paving management program.
How wide is it, Matt? Just give them an idea. It's like,
Roughly, it depends on where, our contractor will come in, they'll mark it. So you're looking at roughly 5 feet,
it's just, the
Yeah.
transition from the road to
Mhm.
the driveway.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and then what it would do is it basically braces the impact of the vehicle from the
Right.
street into the road and will protect the pavers and the right of way. So.
Clear on that. Thank you.
Anyone make a motion?
Well, yeah, I would support the variance. But I would prefer that when we write it up, we don't cite the street width as justifying the variance, because I think a lot of streets in town are 26 or fewer feet, and I don't want this to set a precedent for a variance when your street is 26 feet. So if we're going to refer to the width, I would prefer to refer to it as a combination of the width, the curvature, and the grade. Because I think that's what makes this particular section of Wheatley different,
Mhm.
sufficient to justify a variance.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, well, but I guess we're just directing staff to prepare a
Yeah, for
variance.
next
for
meeting.
meeting.
We would draft a resolution for the January council meeting in support of the variance request with the condition that a concrete apron or concrete substrate is installed.
Under what you have just asked.
Yes,
Well, he just made the motion, but.
I'll make
do you
the
think-
motion to encompass what he just said.
Yeah, I'll second that.
She didn't ask for a second. What do you do?
Well, I think he needs to say it in his own words.
I just didn't think we need a motion to.
Do we need a
Draft a
motion to
motion.
direct staff?
It's okay, we'll draft a resolution.
Well,
Okay.
let's take a vote on it anyway.
Yeah.
So all those, is there a
I'll
second on
support
that?
drafting a resolution for the next meeting to grant the variance
Is there a second?
with the conditions that Matt mentioned, which are working with the contractor to do concrete or concrete substrate.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And then
Thank you,
when
council.
would we take it up to revise the code? Sometime in 25?
How,
Don't look at me.
Looking at you.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I got more.
Councilmember Bartram have scheduled a meeting at some point.
Okay.
In 2025 to start working on the code.
We'll get it.
Add that to the list.
I did, right? Let me get up. Okay, we're gonna go back to number 2. So,
Dennis, we're going to say a few more nice things about you. That's okay. We're going to say a few more nice things about you, if that's okay. Yeah. I've got at least a couple of minutes. We don't want this meeting to go too late. So we're offering you a mayoral proclamation on this day. So whereas the Kensington Business District Association, KBDA, was founded in 1992 by Dennis McCurdy, which was dedicated to providing a forum to exchange ideas and address challenges facing the 20895 business community. And whereas Dennis McCurdy, via the KBDA, tirelessly championed Kensington as an advocate for revitalization and was instrumental in helping to establish Kensington's restaurant scene to include Frankly Pizza. And whereas Dennis's efforts and compassion for our community are also spearheading the Labor Day Trolley, the annual Christmas caroling event, and providing gifts during the holiday season each year for a less fortunate family. And whereas Dennis established the K-Town Food Truck Nights in 2015, which helped spur activity along Armory and Howard Avenues on Thursday evenings. And whereas through Dennis's Associated Business Realty Investment Corporation, along with his two children, Brett and Rhea, has been a prominent fixture of our community for over 50 years. And whereas Dennis McCurdy has decided to retire from the KBDA, as this organization will merge with the Kensington Ken, we honor Dennis for his great service to the Kensington community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the virtue and authority vested in me as the mayor of the town of Kensington, I do hereby deem it an honor and a pleasure to recognize Dennis McCurdy on the 18th day of December 2024 for his loyal advocacy, business acumen, compassion, and dedication towards Kensington. Tracy Furman, Mayor of the Town of Kensington. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
We also want to present you with a key to the Town of Kensington.
Don't go too crazy.
Yeah. Now you gotta lock up.
I tried.
Try to get it.
We should have given.
Got it, got it, got it.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for what you do. No, greatly appreciate
And you're no obligation to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you can.
Or you can celebrate by going to Baby Cat.
Or you
Frankly.
it. That's just the holiday.
Okay.
Know that things like Baby Cat were only possible through strong leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Take
coming.
care.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Oh, did you? Do you want a calendar to the town?
Yes.
Did you get a town calendar? You got one? Okay.
Does your son want?
Comes with the key.
Get rid of your calendars.
Should we tell Kabir he can move too?
Nope. The beer's gotta stay.
Kabir doesn't have to.
Should be an
stay.
obligation of a variance. Variance is should at the bottom.
I know.
She left, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move down to number 4. The Noise Library, the Noise Children Library renovation project. As most people know, the foundation had a bit of a hiccup with funding for the library that was passed on to them by our county executive. We had a meeting today. Not so much in need of a letter right now. They are working to put the project into 2 phases so that some additional funding can be included or not included, but could be collected from between the state, the county, and donations. And hopefully the town will also at our next meeting discuss putting in some funding as well. To date, we have put in $75,000 towards the renovation of Noise, and we're being asked to consider putting in some more funding to get them up. They're currently $2.2 million. The foundation has 200,000 already that they are ready to send to the county. And they hope to have whether they can move forward in the next probably the next few weeks. You know, we're hitting the holiday season, so it'll probably be in January. We should know by the our meeting in January which way we're going. But hopefully they'll be able to break it up in 2 phases. Start with the basement elevation as our excavation and putting in the elevator, and then make that a phase 1, and then start phase 2 to give time to get into the next fiscal year, which starts July 1. Because any state money or federal money they wouldn't get until, you know, the next fiscal year. So the foundation is very upbeat. They think they can raise the money. They are not as they are challenged, but they are not dissuaded. They are ready to go. So I think that's good. So our job though will be to I've asked them to keep me on the calls anytime they're with the county. Our council member President Stewart has been phenomenal in keeping this going in conversation with our county executive. So we're right now in a fairly good place, but they need to find $2 million.
I was gonna ask that.
That's
That's a
the
gap.
gap.
That's the
Okay.
gap. Yeah,
Who asked us for chipping in more? The foundation?
our
Or
county
the county-
executive.
the executive did,
Yeah.
okay. How much did they ask?
He didn't say. I mean, that's up to us. I. No, he did not ask us for 2 million. As I said, we've already provided $75,000 towards the renovation. So I hopefully we can look to see whether there's any moving things around in our current budget, which there's some possibilities. Or we just wait to the next fiscal year, which they understand that we would have to do. But at this point, we don't necessarily need to send a letter. I think we're in a place right now where the county wants to do this. They want to fulfill their obligation. Just have to find this extra money. So,
Well, thank you
yeah,
for being there and
Yeah.
carrying that message.
it was a very, we had 16 people. Jarrett Solomon was there, our District 18, and Eden, his chief of staff, and the board, and Rachel, who does what is it?
Silverman, she's
She
OMB.
was
Oh,
there.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
she was there. So I got to see her twice today. And Rich Madaleno was there as well as his deputy. The new library, the new head of libraries was there. And so they, you know, they want to make this work. So felt good about that. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, any questions about noise? Okay, all right, well, we're moving on. Matt,
Mayor and council reports?
I'm sorry.
Mayor and
Oh,
council reports?
yeah, I'm sorry. I was all excited.
Almost there,
Almost did a resolution.
almost there.
Darren? Anything?
Well, I would just reiterate that we, Tracy, Connor, and I, and as well as staff, went to the council from our committee for Montgomery breakfast in November. Just nice to see the state leadership and county council members show up and you know, understand there are a lot of priorities for them to work on. And then last week we went, well, it was just Tracy and me and our attorney went to the Maryland Municipal League Montgomery chapter dinner with the state representatives. And so again, it's a good opportunity to just let them talk to them, let them know what our priorities are, and hear from them what their plans are for the upcoming term. That's all.
Yeah, they talked about bills that they were going to introduce and things.
Yep.
So it was a good meeting, actually. Small group, but good.
Yep.
So,
That's it for me.
okay, yeah, great.
Thanks. Just briefly, Connor and I hosted the first parking task force meeting earlier this month. We have 10 residents and business representatives joining that new ad hoc committee, and we shared the minutes and the agenda online so folks can follow along. But we'll be meeting again in January to keep the work moving and come forward. We'll share with the council the goals and the immediate next steps, which will probably entail some research and analysis and getting some extra help with that.
We were on a call with some people about parking,
Correct.
and you're probably gonna mention it,
Yeah.
but did you talk about hiring someone?
Mhm.
We
Okay.
did. So in the near term, we will be coming up with objectives and a draft statement of work
Of
to hire
for a
someone,
consultant?
for a consultant to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tracy and I did have the opportunity to meet with Jeremy Souders and Ben Morgan, who Jeremy is the director, Ben is the area planner for parking under Planning's Transportation Division, along with Carrie Sanders, director of
This
planning
area.
for this area.
Yeah.
And what was great is we have invited them to our January 7th, and they have accepted. They will be there on Zoom to talk about these very things. So we just need to zero in on the agenda, but things that we talked about were parking consultants. They've used a lot of them. They have a lot of thoughts. They have already volunteered their professional support for any sort of scope of work to be drafted. They talked about things that we had already touched on as far as, the area of purview for this committee. But it's good to know that we are right along the same path, right? Inventorying our current streets, looking at residential parking permit, looking at parking management. They had a very strong feeling. So I don't want to spoil the meeting, but for January 7th, that we will have some great resources from the county to help us put together our vision for where the parking task force will go.
It was kind of interesting because you don't think about it because, old school is the meters. Now everything is on your phone. So your infrastructure is so much cheaper now because it's an app.
Mhm.
So,
Just under
virtually-
enforcement,
well,
but-
you do,
Yes.
but you could, we have to determine whether we want to hire somebody to come in at night or on the weekends to do enforcements. But he said a lot of that can be done on your phone.
Mhm.
So, you're not out there trying to put up meters anymore. And the county is getting rid of all of their meters.
Right, so when we go to talk about parking management, their thing was, there's essentially zero upfront cost now, right? You get the stickers from the vendor company, you put them up on your signage, and then everything runs. And the nice thing is, the vast majority of revenues generated go back to the municipality. And they can, we talked about this, creating public-private partnerships. There is a way to track the parking by specific zones. If a private property owner was willing to allow their space to be used in a certain time frame, we can sign that, we can activate it in parking management, and then we can decide whether or not there's a financial incentive there for those people. They can actually get a monetary benefit. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that would all be up to us to determine.
Right, the traditional parking district didn't really work because they use it as a means of rebuilding and constantly building, parking structures and things like that. So, what they're following wouldn't really work here for the traditional
Yeah.
parking district.
And there's some real nerdy history, which I appreciate. But when planning changed parking minimums in these areas, it essentially eroded the previous, I forget the term, of the tax that they could levy to create the revenues for further. So they're more or less now, they have to fund it. And so going to park mobile is what's helped to generate just revenues back to those kind of parking projects.
So
Yeah,
now you guys have a great preview of the exciting
Mhm.
conversations we have at our parking task force
Tell us
meeting.
more. No.
Yeah.
January 7th, we're selling tickets. All proceeds go back to the parking district.
well, I think when you start charging for parking too, there's a conversation to be had there. I mean, I would not want to have to go to the post office and,
No, there's,
pay to
yeah.
park.
We're
I'm
at
just
the
saying,
very beginning.
I
of the
know,
process.
that's, I don't want people to panic,
Yeah.
just because you hear parking costs doesn't mean that's what's gonna be implemented.
No.
It's just gotta be part of the discussion.
Yeah, they have they want to incentivize people to do short-term parking on streets, but how to turn that over. And then incentivize people to go to off-street parking if they want to be there longer term. And there are real strategies. They talk about it as levers. There's duration and there's the rate, and there's ways to pull both to get the behavior that you want. So
Yeah, so,
Very cool.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
No, I
Good.
don't have anything else,
Okay.
other than I have really enjoyed all of the holiday events in town. So thank you
Oh.
to everyone that's been doing a lot.
It has
Um,
been a busy time of year.
Yes, there's been a lot of KHS party, Light Up K-Town, the business district event and the Christmas tree lighting, and now we have the menorah lighting on December 29th. So
Mhm.
thanks to everyone that has helped to make that possible.
And we'll still be doing the menorah lighting on the 25th.
Oh, the
at
25th.
5 o'clock,
Anybody that
and I
wants to
believe you
join.
said you would join, and.
My husband.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Excellent.
So 5 o'clock, and so be sure to pack Baxter's menorah
I have
sweater.
his Hanukkah sweater,
Okay,
right?
make sure you have his Hanukkah sweater. Good. Yeah. But the big celebration will be on the 29th.
Yes, 29th at 6 o'clock. As usual, we will have donuts and hot apple cider and singing.
Okay. Okay, good. All right, and that's at 6, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. All right. What you got?
Nothing much, just to announce the two meetings, the two working group meetings. Committee meetings, we have Mobility Traffic Committee and Pedestrian Bicycling Access and Safety Working Group combined meeting on January 13th, 7:30 here. Or sorry, that one's on Zoom. Sorry, yeah, that one's on Zoom. And then Sustainable Kensington will meet on January 21st here. And also just to thank the town staff and the crew for the leaf cleanups have been really awesome. I know it got extended this week, so.
Yeah, just a couple of days.
Very helpful.
Yeah,
Thanks to them for that.
yeah, they've done a great job, and I don't think people realize how much physical, they've walked 9 miles one day.
I believe it.
Yeah,
Wow.
so, and one street can fill a truck. So, especially on the west side where I am, on Washington or Prospect. And so, while the truck is being emptied, the other guys are going around and getting the piles kind of pulled back together. Residents, for the most part, have been pretty good about not parking in front of their pile. Some maybe not have a choice, but for the most part, I think they got everything. Frederick Avenue was the last pile to get today. And so they are officially done, and they've cleaned out all the storm sewers too. So they're good.
sleeping now,
Yeah,
getting some rest.
yeah, but it is definitely physically, and even the guy that's driving the truck, because you got to really watch, as you're going down and not move too fast. So anyway, I can honestly say they are not looking forward to battery operated blowers. I can tell you that right now.
Was this a time to talk? Because,
Sure.
post-mortem. I just think we ought to be considering, at least for the staff that works all day through 2 months, moving leaves, to not opt into the county system.
Well, I think the hardest part is that what is it, like a 60 or 40 pounds? There's a big difference between, but when they add the 2
Or-
batteries
So
onto
we actually purchased a battery pack this year, just to kind of try it out because one of our gas powered broke. We found a battery pack through Steel. It was 40 pounds. And one of the guys tried it on and said, "There's no way I can have this. I can't carry this all day long." So we were able to just buy a smaller one that was about 20 pounds. And the 2 batteries that we got plus the backups got them 40 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we're taking
Wow.
we're taking noise that can be protected against with
Yeah.
ear protection
And
and substituting for it back pain, which can't be protected
yeah, and
against.
Councilmember Crimmins, I know
Yeah.
you spoke with
I spoke with two
with
of,
planning. or
this was Parks.
Yeah.
Montgomery County National Capital Park, their crew, while they were cleaning up Kensington Cabin Park. And at this moment, we're taking a break because they're like these backpacks. They didn't understand why they were being asked to switch over. And so we talked about it a little bit. They're like, it's terrible. It's 40 pounds. When you think about walking 9 miles in one day with 40 pounds, both the gentlemen were just like, we get home and our backs are absolutely wrecked. And if the trade-off was this versus the noise of a internal combustion engine, which we have sufficient safety protective gear for, they were very candid about how much this was more deeply affecting them physically. That didn't even get into the fact that they have a dual battery pack. They said it gets them an hour and a half, which is all they can kind of take. And then they take the chance to break while they swap out. I mean, the infrastructure of batteries and or mobile charging that you need to be able to complete a day I don't think was necessarily thought through.
Yeah, and the other issue is the battery pack that we did purchase cannot move wet leaves. It can only move dry leaves.
But it never rains in Kensington.
Yeah, so that's kind of another
Really
issue
this
that,
fall, that's a-
so this was the last year that we can use gas powered for the regulation. The only issue is it's regulated under the noise ordinance. We are part of the noise ordinance, so we would have.
And you can't pick and choose that.
We'd have to completely opt out, which would set up other issues for the town where we would be required to enforce all noise complaints of the town if we would opt out.
But are they actually being enforced now?
So the county, I think they're handling it the same way they handle the pesticide where, well, it's not, it's just illegal to sell them right now. Next year is
No, no,
what
I mean the noise.
The noise
the
ordinance.
noise. So if you call Department of Environmental Protection, who oversees the enforcement of the noise ordinance, they will show up. They do have off hours agents that can show up, or you can do a retroactive file complaint against someone if it's a neighbor or something specific, and then they'll file a complaint. The council's probably familiar with it with some of the complaints that went to gigs for some of the concerts. There's a protocol for it. Construction obviously gets through that. I mean, we don't, that's one of the issues we would have is we don't have the staffing to do this off hours and on weekends if we were to opt out of the noise ordinance.
Well, can I
So-
suggest that we don't get too ahead of ourselves and that we, unless somebody's objecting, that we explore legal options to pull out of the county ordinance for the limited period of time in the fall, maybe.
Oh, for 2 months?
Well, I don't even know what it would look like, but just to be,
And then go back in?
That one.
but I don't want to, decide to do it in mass or to do it, narrowly tailored. I just want to give some thought to this because we don't have to really resolve this.
Well, the other option is you don't pick up leaves.
I know, that's
Yeah.
literally.
the
what I
other
was thinking.
I'm just saying, you just require everybody to bag them or have your guy who you hired to take them away.
Right.
I mean, that's an
Put them in
alternative,
the-
Or you
yeah.
compost.
You put
Yeah,
them in the garden
compost.
beds and leave them.
but these are not, the battery operated is not as bad when you're just going over a sidewalk, taking away grass clippings.
Like a minor thing.
Yeah. Spring cleanup could be a challenge, but then again, you're not really doing the number of leaves that you are in the fall. But, I mean, it is a very physical job.
You could also experiment where 1 year you didn't do it.
Didn't
And-
collect leaves.
Yeah, and,
boy.
and, and measure,
Maybe we just start with
measure
one
the
part of
results,
town.
or that one part of town.
town.
The
Be
south-
my part
the
of
south
town.
part of
It'd
town.
be my part of
Pleasant
town.
Street.
No,
Yeah.
and learn from that.
There is one issue with that, the storm drains.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Leaves
I
get
did
storm
wonder about that.
drains. And that is one of the things that's why the guys go up the curb line and make sure they get them out of the storm drains and the gutter.
Yeah, because the amount of dirt that they can pull out of
Yeah.
those storm drains is incredible.
And we did, and Alex, you
Yeah.
maybe we did give Allison Oppenheim 2 truckloads worth of leaves for, was it Ernest, 3 over at Ernest Memorial? And just to confirm, so the leaves do go to the Montgomery County facility and they are composted. So it's not like they're burned or anything like that. It is composted through the county. So everything we collect is taken to the Brookwood facility and through their process, so.
Yeah. And that takes about 40 minutes by the time you get over there, you unload and then you come back. It's about a 40-minute
Yeah.
process. So typically the guys are moved on to the other piles to get them ready so they can continue, picking them up. So. Okay, one of the items that you guys brought up, and I've got Sue Ellen on the call too, just to talk about is the stations
Yeah.
for cars and the Pepco. So, Sue Ellen, I know you, you got the contract that we have with Pepco regarding the stations and that they should be providing us with service? Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
And they're not?
And here's your agreement.
There it is, it says it right there.
Yeah. So are we going to write them a letter? Or are we going to, which they don't seem to, we got Christmas cards from them, by the way. They did manage to give us all Christmas cards.
So just for the benefit of everyone, for what's happening.
Yes, please, why don't you go?
Only one of the 4 stations, vehicle charging stations that the town worked with Pepco to install are functioning right now. Is functioning. It's only one of the 4.
Here,
But then also at the.
They're
train
not
station,
working at the
they're
train
not.
station at all.
And
we have one of 8.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
8, sorry.
Yeah.
One of 8 is working. And we're struggling to get Pepco to.
And
maintain
it's
them.
natural that people assume that, this is our responsibility, which it is to call Pepco, but Pepco is not showing up to fix them.
Right.
And of course, it makes us look bad. We're not able to fix their equipment. So it really puts staff in a really bad position of what to do. And, besides, you've now lost 8 parking spaces for any sort of use because people aren't parking there.
Or the longer that they're broken, people will just,
Well, they just don't come. They've given
Yeah,
up.
it's a
they'll
distance.
they'll eventually get fixed and then they'll be continuously parked.
Right, because I've talked to a couple of people who've come multiple times and they're not working. So why would they come back?
So what recourse do we have?
Well, you can certainly request that they follow through their contract. My guess is that I think, and I recall, I believe that this was the provision of these charging stations was part of what they promised to the Public Service Commission they would do. And so there might be a way to use that as a way to get them to maintain what they put in.
And is there a way that we could find out what may have been committed to the Public Service Commission?
Yes,
Yeah, that should be
Yeah.
public information. Yeah.
yes, and we can find that out. And then if something that they promised the Public Service Commission to do, the term of the contract isn't over for a couple of years yet, so they're required to do that as part of what they received as compensation for providing electrical service and the rates that they got. So my recollection is that is one of the things they promised to do to reduce energy consumption.
So are you suggesting we write a letter to Pepco first or we write a letter to the?
I would certainly write to Pepco first. Give them you always give them the opportunity to do the right thing and follow through. And then
Okay.
if they don't respond by sending somebody out, then you take the next step. They have been spending a lot of time in outreach lately about the streetlights.
Right.
A lot of attention to that particular issue. I know they're definitely having some issues in front of the Public Service Commission getting through the rate proceeding they're trying to complete. The one that you all joined in on years ago
Right.
is still going. So, I think that they may be sensitive to that. And now's a good time to ask.
Okay. All right. Is that something you and Matt can go ahead and work on, is getting that done and out the door?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, we can give them a deadline in which we want to see some service. I don't want it to be too open-ended.
Agreed. That's the
Okay.
best way to go.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. I'm sorry, Nate, did you have anything?
No, I
else?
didn't have anything.
Okay, Connor, I just want to make
Just-
sure we hit that.
Yep, just a few things. We had a couple of meetings today, myself, the mayor, and Councilman Miller Engel about Summit Avenue Extension. The first was with Chris Conklin, Montgomery County DOT, and Rachel Silberman from the Office of OMB, as they are working on the CIP budget for next year for the county. They were looking at Summit Avenue to fully understand it because they have been getting the communications from the county council, the people that we have met with, to explain our ULI TAP study and the vision that we have for what Summit Avenue can do. So we gave them that presentation, helped them to see what we see as far as what Summit Avenue can do with creating a new, area of town as a walkable, connected community that helps to bridge Kangar and Kensington together. So that was our first meeting. And then our second one, one of the things that we wanted to discuss was, how do we, who have been advocates as a town around affordable housing, try and use Summit Avenue as another opportunity to find ways to bring affordable housing into Kensington and into that area. And so we met with the Montgomery Housing Partners, MHP, their president and vice president, Rob Goldman, Stephanie Rudman, to better understand how their organization works. They are one of the partners with the county. They were the ones that had been partnering with the county on the apartments, what are they now, the Glen. So they're very familiar with Kensington, and they've got a number of things beyond just building, managing affordable housing. Their community programming and outreach and engagement. So it was a really good conversation with them to help them know that this is something that we are trying to find a way to meet the principles of Thrive and bring these different types of housing, both housing stock and the diversity of housing options into the town. And I see, potential for more conversations along that line. So my only other one is to, again, the small update on the Montgomery County Public School boundary study. Yeah, the superintendent put out a short video, 4 minutes, beginning some of the outreach and information sharing about, why they're doing it, why it is necessary, what the impact of the boundary study will be. As an example,
Is this part of bringing Woodward back
Yes.
online?
Yes, 100%. So there are 3 main things that are driving the boundary study. One is the reopening of Charles Woodward High School. And by reopening Charles Woodward, it actually affects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different high schools because of all the elementary schools and the middle schools. Now, in the video, the superintendent said, for elementary schools, they are planning no boundary changes. But it will affect middle schools and it will affect high schools. And they are driving it on 4 principles. Diversity is the first one. They want to have a demographic characteristics of the student population be as diverse as possible. The second is proximity. They want to have kids attend the school closest to their home. Stability. They want to minimize the disruption to student education. So that is meaning they're trying to move as few students from whatever their boundary school is now to any other school. So I don't know how they balance priority 2 and priority 3 for some parts of the county. I don't know. I'm going to try and show my screen here. Show this one. This is from the county's website. And this little bar always gets in the way. Here we go. So this is just the different catchment areas and high schools that will be impacted by the opening of Charles Woodward. So as you can see, it's essentially all of Down County. And the high schools are not necessarily always centrally located inside of a catchment area. In fact, Woodward, right, is not far, we all know, from Walter Johnson. And so this will be a very interesting study. The 4th priority that they had was I gotta look at my notes. Fiscal responsibility. That is what they're really talking about is utilization. They want to make sure that they try to balance schools, take away those schools like Walter Johnson that are way over capacity, and move kids around to the new schools being offered to try and balance out attendance.
Well, that's the reason why they, reopened Woodward.
And when you add to it that they are opening Crown High School, and there is a major expansion of Damascus High School that is being finished, you'll see that affects, between that and ours, 80% of the entire county.
Yeah.
So this is not a small undertaking in the least.
How long do they think this will take?
So I'm glad you asked that question.
Coming soon.
Here's what they say about their timeline. In an initial scope that they put out, this is going to be multiple years. So they're going to begin with outreach. I think one thing they learned from the previous and the feedback from the previous boundary study analysis was that people felt there was insufficient outreach. So they are planning for considerable amount of outreach, for feedback and engagement events. The second is that they have put out and contracted with a couple of vendors to start gathering the data, doing the data analysis, providing that in a public forum for people to be able to, comb through themselves. They will then start to talk about, kind of high school by high school, how to make those 4 principles work. And then they will start to draft recommendations. The timeline I saw was for draft recommendations to be out in 25 and then to try and get to March of like 26, where they would like to try and make some decisions, because this would affect school boundaries by school year of 28. When, because as we know, Northwood is right now being held at the new Charles Woodward High School as a holding school. Well, they do renovations to Northwood. That's taking a little bit longer. They have to finish. There was some debate about phasing the final construction of Woodward. So it's just pushed that timeline out to 2028. So, but they're trying to make the boundaries known to everybody by, the end of 2026.
So it sounds like from the criteria, we would stay at Parkwood, possibly go to Silver Creek, because that's the closest,
Yeah.
and then maybe go to Einstein, because that's the closest.
Yeah. I mean, as you look at the map, this
If that principle is.
If that principle is what they're following.
this little shark fin right here, that's the very northern edge of the town of Kensington. We are right here in this yellow band right here.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, Kensington Parkwood, the other thing that I know came up in the previous analysis, at least as spoken about by the previous superintendent, the current superintendent has not directly said this, but they, their thing was there's no agreements with any jurisdictions, meaning there's nothing that says the town of Kensington as a whole goes to one cluster. If they determine that, I'm making things up, this is a hypothetical, but if they determine that the CSX lines was the line of demarcation, the north part of town could go one place, south part of town could go another. If it's Connecticut Avenue, the west side of town could go one place, the east side could go another. We are over in this kind of big toe area that, depending on where the population shifts have been over the last several years, it will be interesting to see where we may end up. We are close to Kensington Parkwood. We're also close to Oakland Terrace.
Mhm.
We're close to Silver Creek, but there's parts of us that are also close to Newport Mill. So we are, by virtue of the fact that these high schools aren't like centrally located in their catchment area, we're kind of equidistant from a lot of the buildings.
Right. Oh, well,
So more to come.
all right, well, thank you. Any questions from the audience on any of these items that the council's brought up? Okay, don't see anything. I too want to thank the staff for all the events that we've put together, and I know Kyle Richards and her team with the K-Town ladies did the Light Up K-Town, and we also have coming this Thursday, tomorrow night, is the McInerney Realty and Mark Hudson and his fellow realtors with the caroling around the fountain, which is tomorrow night at Flynn Park, if you're available. And then, of course, we'll do the menorah lighting later in the month. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Matt, do you wanna, I wanna go, I know public appearances, but I wanna get through a couple of these resolutions.
That's fine,
Because
yeah.
Llewellyn is here.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to report. I wanted to move down.
Okay.
Council, before you this evening is resolution number R-23-2024. A resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Kensington to change the project that would receive up to $800,000 funding from state bond bills 23-458 and 23-706 from the Flats and Knoll Station Development Project to the acquisition of 10415 Montgomery Avenue. For reference, that's the M&T drive-through property for public use as a parking lot, and to authorize the town manager to submit a prior authorization request to the Maryland General Assembly to request this change. This is a bond bill that the town filed back in 2023, requesting $2.4 million on behalf of the developer for the Flats at Mill Station project. Unfortunately, we have not been able to come to an agreement on a long-term lease with the developer. And we are requesting
And we did not get that amount.
yes, we did not. I'm
Clear.
sorry. We received 800,000 of the four requested. So we received 1/3 of the funds that we requested for the public parking option. Staff has compiled a pre-authorization request before the Maryland State Legislature to move the funds from the Flats at Mill Station project for the acquisition of 10415 Montgomery Avenue. The town has a verbal agreement with M&T Bank to acquire that property for the appraisal amount of $930,000 on July 1st, 2025. This act by the legislature would allow us to allocate those funds, the $800,000, towards the acquisition of that property.
Okay. And let's also be clear that those funds were for public parking.
They will continue and maintain public parking access, correct?
We're changing addresses, not usage.
And Town Attorney Ferguson is here to answer any questions about the resolution.
Council have any questions?
I just have one. Does it require a separate prior authorization request form for each bond bill? I know you guys have put them in here.
We talked with Shannon. She said one was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these funds would become available July 1.
That's our understanding from Senator Zucker's staff, yes.
Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the audience or on Joe?
Yes, thank you. The town manager referred to in passing a problem with the lease at the Flats, and I just wondered what the long-term lease problem was. What does that really mean?
The whole lease agreement.
If I might respond as the negotiator, we weren't able to reach agreement.
Obviously, but why? What happened? What was wrong? What were the sticking points? Just curious.
Just a number of them. Location, number, approvals. There were a number. We just weren't able to reach an agreement.
And so what are the repercussions, if any, that the town might have for the failure to reach an agreement there?
The town had to follow the requirements of the Department of General Services. The Maryland State Department of General Services requires a grant agreement. The town could not enter into a grant agreement for use of the funds until it had a long-term lease or some other possessory interest in real estate to justify using the funds for that purpose. This new purpose not only allows the town the sole possessory interest, but it continues well beyond what a lease term would be, and allows the town to provide the parking forever if it cares to, or and decides to do that. So it's an ownership interest as opposed to a long-term but limited lease. It's in terms of the location, also it's very a good location to provide this service, and it's doesn't require any real extensive work by the town because there's a surface parking lot already there. In any number of ways, it's more in the public interest to do this.
And has there been much, I don't recall much discussion by the council, at least in public sessions, about the wisdom of buying this site for additional parking in the heart of town? I know there's been some passing discussion perhaps, but nothing in any detail. Plus, $900,000 is a substantial amount of money.
Well, you can rest assured that there is an appraisal to rely on, And also, this will come before council. It requires an ordinance.
I'm sorry, what requires an ordinance?
The acquisition. So there will be public discussion.
I see. And that's in July or sometime, or that's envisioned for July? The
Posing, yes.
It would probably be in June.
the
the ordinance.
verbal agreement, I guess, is what
Yeah.
is what the town manager referred to. Okay,
Right, but none of that's binding until it goes forward through council process.
of course. Right. How often, how usual or unusual is this to sort of switch gears from one project to another? A bond project like this? I've never heard of
No,
anything.
I don't know that the town has had enough bond bills or is large enough to know what is usual or not usual. I have no idea what any statistics on that might be. Obviously, it does happen because there's a process for it called the prior authorization request. So it does happen, I assume, frequently enough that they've got a form and a request and a process to follow when that does happen.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Furman.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that has a question? I can't see all that.
No, not good.
There we go. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. So could we, council doesn't have any other questions? Could we get a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number R-23-2024. Resolution of the mayor and council to change the project for the LBI grant of $800,000 from Flats and Knoll Stations to 10415 Montgomery Avenue.
Hi, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, number 2,
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Sue Ellen. She's been very helpful on
Okay.
this whole process.
well, if she can hang around for the next one, that'd be great too.
And staff will file the prior authorization request this week.
Okay, and do you want to reach out to Emily Shetty as well to let her, make sure they're in the loop? Okay.
Resolution number R-24-2024 is a resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of Kensington authorizing a contract with Ecology Services, Refuse and Recycling for the term of 10 months beginning March 1st, 2025, and for 3 additional one-year options to provide weekly residential curbside food waste collection within the town, subject to review by the town attorney. We discussed this at the November council meeting at the recommendation of Sustainable Kensington. This would be a town-wide food waste collection program. We would be starting the program on March 1st. The initial term is for 10 years. I'm sorry, 10 months, sorry, 10 months. 10 months, with 3 additional one-year options. So it coincides with our existing trash, brush and recycling contract with Ecology. They have agreed to that. There is a contract before the council and the public. We may need to negotiate a few things. We have not clarified the collection date yet. And a few other options we need to look at. So that is why we added the language to review by the town attorney.
So just to be clear, we have not received the actual contract.
Correct. They provided a proposal that we determined the contract off of. It was different than what we wanted to do. We wanted the same contract that we have for the trash, brush and recycling.
Okay,
So when our trash, brush and recycling contract is up, we want this contract to be up so we could bid it out together.
okay.
So,
Council, you have any questions?
I do.
I said we should.
Go ahead. That's why
I
we're
know
here.
Suzanne and I worked on it. We should know the answer to this. I think we talked about it last time. I know that this is also to purchase the toters will be.
That's the
they're
next
Maybe
one.
separate. Yeah, they're separate.
But maybe I should ask the question then. If it's better, then let me know. But about the bags, if you had researched the compostable bags,
So-
will they be provided? I don't know.
So that is what one of the things I need to clarify with, and just for the record, Andrew Casilli, who you've met
Yeah.
on our tour, will be joining us January 8th.
Here at the council
Well, it's on Zoom, or at least unless you change that.
Okay.
Yeah, we did January.
He will be attending our January meeting. His team has reached out to us and said that they will be working with Kensington to provide outreach, literature, and communication to the
Great.
town, so everyone understands what can be taken into the bins. We are not expecting this to be a very smooth process in the beginning. It's going to probably take some time. We don't expect everyone to to use the bins immediately. But Andrew and his team are here to help. And they will provide literature and staff to help us get through this.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, my questions were about the outreach and education and the time to get the toters and whether we could get everything done by March 1st.
Yes.
Knowing that some people will need, so are you anticipating that people opt in and sign up so you know who to distribute a toter
No,
to?
so every resident is going to get a bin. So the next resolution, but I'll answer it
Be
now.
talking about
Okay.
these.
No, I know, but I'm just, it's
So,
related to the outreach.
We have 574 single-family dwellings in the property that will receive a 13-gallon bin. We will drop them off. Our public works crew will drop them off. They are expected to be delivered, assuming the council approves the next resolution, about the first week of February. We will start the information session right after we met with Andrew Caselli next month. So we will probably providing literature and communication to the residents about a month before they even receive the bins, or we receive the bins. March 1st is a Saturday. So depending on the date that we can work out with ecology on the collection day, speaking with Bill and his team right now, it's looking like a Friday. He's trying to figure out the team that's going to do the collection. Whether it gets moved to a Tuesday, but right now it's looking like a Friday. I don't know. That's something we need to work out on. So if that first collection comes on in the first week of March, I'm not anticipating 574 residents having a compost bin out. But we don't expect that. But as the program continues and residents see the process or ask questions and kind of go through the process, we expect that the program will continue to expand from the first week of March.
Okay, I'm thinking about some of the questions we got last meeting. Just the basic mechanics of, well, where do I put the food waste inside my house before I do it? And
This is like, food waste is a little different, but recycling, when we started
Yeah, that's
recycling,
what
where
I
do I
used to.
put all my recycling? I have one inside the house that I
So-
take out. Now this is food scrap, so you don't necessarily
When
want them in your house, but
when we moved from the 22-gallon bin to the 64-gallon toter on recycling, there was a transition period. We got a lot of pushback from the residents. We had a lot of residents that refused to accept it. We had a lot of residents that said that they would never have enough recycling. Obviously, that kind of worked its way through once they kind of saw what could be put in the bin.
I could roll this thing. I
Yeah.
don't have to carry.
So, there's a process. We're expecting a lot of feedback and communication from the residents. And
your bins.
Andrew and his team will work with us. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but in the next resolution, we did leave a little bit of room on the proposal cost from toter. The reason why is they're sending me a color palette. I was gonna try to get a bin that's not green.
Bright yellow.
I wanted to go with a more neutral tone, just in case people need to put it in their house or, something. There are a color palette. It's a $2 edition per bin. There's also stamping. We have to get hot stamping. So there's a serial number on the bin so a neighbor doesn't steal another bin. So we left a little bit of room,
Mistakenly take.
which happens with the toters on recycling. This is unique. This is a townwide collection program.
But it sounds like feel confident. I was wondering if we could hit that March readiness date. That's really my question.
Like I said, the bins will be ordered tomorrow, assuming
Yeah.
the resolution. We should have them the first week of February. We're hoping to start the education program the week of January 8th after we have Andrew here. And we hope to kind of go forward, and we're hoping everybody participates. So.
What is envisioned for the education program?
So they've provided us some base literature.
Mhm.
It's pretty similar to what we have for the recycling. I think there's going to be a lot of questions off the base literature that we have. Councilmember Marengo, I know you probably saw that when we did the tour. You might have been on one of the emails with it. So I think we're going to have to send out maybe a mailing or a postcard. Maybe
Which
a
we did
QR
for
code.
recycling as
Yeah.
well.
We can also attach it to the bin when we
Yep.
deliver the bin.
Yeah, we can tape it inside or on the top, and
Yeah.
people will understand.
And I also wondered, it's a little, I guess there's time. We can discuss it at the Sustainable Kensington meeting in January 21st.
Yeah.
There may be ways to like share videos, like showing people like this is this is how you collect your
Still
food.
do a video of you and Connor.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Your
There's even more
idea.
of a reason to do a video.
Yeah.
There could be additional outreach that neighbors do. And maybe we could get some committee volunteers to help with that.
Something that Nate said, maybe things, I mean, if there's enough time, right, to do a quick, like, what can go in and what can't, but print it as a sticker that gets put to the inside of the lid. So when the lid, with a QR code back to all the other education.
Ecology says that they are able to help us with a sticker
Mhm.
and into some kind of
Just
literature.
every time you open it, it's a reminder of like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
this goes in the bin, this goes in the trash.
Ecology is our trash collector. They've been with us for 6 years. They are a county contractor as well. We would be their first residential food waste collection program. They have a contract with NIH that is going to the same facility right now. So they are more than willing to work with us on this program. They want it to succeed as much as we do. You'll notice if you read the contract, there are some notations there to pricing, where the pricing could be decreased if
Yeah.
we are able to get one of our neighboring jurisdictions, specifically Garrett Park or Chevy Chase View, on board. It's a substantial savings for us. I do know CCV has a program with Compost Crew right now that's supposed to end the end of January 2025. And I know Garrett Park has shown some interest in starting a food waste collection program. So there is some hope there that we can get them on board as well. The benefit to Ecology is the more units they have, they're only packing one truck. It's a reduced cost for them. So it would benefit us in the long run.
I'm sure it could get you guys down in the MMC to talk about, get a video. They got a green screen. You can have whatever you want behind you.
We can do it. Yeah.
You could be at the beach and talking about composting. No, I think
We could do it.
I would love to do that. I really
Okay.
would. I think it would be great to send that out.
We can all participate.
But
How's that?
there was another municipality that did it. I think I sent you a video of
Mhm.
that. One of the municipalities did a little, here's how you
Yeah.
do it. Now they had to actually take theirs. This is one of the more rural ones, but they had to actually take their composting to
Central.
a central
yeah,
facility.
drop off.
We're doing it right out your front door. so.
I guess that does make me think, I know this was in the town newsletter recently, but when we do send out the letter talking about the new food waste collection and the transition, to remind people we have the bulk compost pickup at the town. I was thinking about, apartment residents and business owners and additional.
And at least Mayor Furman and I have discussed about possibly moving the snack shack over to the M&T property once it's acquired.
So
Which
the
would help
farmer's
benefit
market.
some of our farmers market vendors.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it would be a better location there once we can do that.
And also just be easier for the vendor to,
Well, especially the
Back in.
farmer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still have to somehow figure out how to get, and I'm gonna use two examples because they use the dumpster at the church parking lot would be like a Frankly Pizza and a Potomac Sweets. Because there's a lot of food waste that goes in. the dumpster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you get that? And, because a lot of it is one individual carrying whatever it is out. They don't have a means in which to get down to the,
Yeah.
you'd have to throw it into a car and get it down to, the train station. So. Anyway,
Okay.
somehow they figure that out.
It's like sustainable Kensington.
I know.
Going around town with a wagon.
I did. Yellow wagon.
It's gotta be worth like 12 points.
All right, are there any
Point of
questions?
designation.
We get to gold. Any further questions from the council before we open it up to the public? No, any questions from the public, either in person or on the TV?
I was wondering one thing.
You have to go up to the, sorry. Just quick name and a street for the record.
Yeah, Lindsay Archuleta, Wheatley Street. If composting, I love the idea. I think it's amazing. We compost at home. Does the compost then come back to residents after it's been processed?
No.
No.
No. It's not like Compost Crew where you got a bag of composting. So, do you want to say where it goes?
Yeah, it goes to a facility in Jessup where they have a bioenergy production facility with it's not really compost. It's anaerobic digestion, so they create renewable, what they call renewable natural gas, and it goes right to the Baltimore gas line. It gets injected there, and they have something called digestate that's produced like a compost that they then give to, I think, give or sell at very low cost to the farmers in that area. So those are the two things, but I don't know, I mean, I don't know if we could talk with them at some point about getting it back. Just, I don't know if that's something that we could,
Digestate? Or-
yeah, and I don't even know, to be honest, if
Natural
it's
gas.
natural. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
even safe to handle. It probably is, because they compared it to like a compost.
Yeah, this is definitely a question we can ask Andrew, and
When he
Benny.
comes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, Nate, you were there. I mean, they're very excited about us kind of
Yeah.
joining the program, so.
It's something to bring up when we
yeah.
meet, if you want to come in January to the meeting, let's on Zoom, so,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but thanks for the question.
Thanks for the question.
Okay, anybody else? Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Furman. What if townspeople don't participate in the program, in the waste reduction program? What then? What does the town envision for that kind of non-compliance?
Well, I think it's the same for people who don't recycle. I mean, we don't force people to do it.
So it's entirely voluntary, and if people want to continue to, throw their food waste into the trash, they can still do that, or there's no
It's not
penalty for that?
illegal, if that's what you're asking.
There's no penalty for that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they want to go as far as to turn their bin back in,
I think it's like the recycling, or
So do
it
some.
just stays with the house.
I mean, we went through this recycling. I mean, we got a tremendous amount of pushback giving someone a 64-gallon toter after having a 22-gallon bin. I mean, we said it belongs to the house. You don't use it, you don't use it. It worked, it took time, especially with some of our older residents that weren't used to recycling. At least unless I get direction differently, I think that's how staff will
Mhm.
handle this.
Mhm.
Look, the bin belongs to the house. Well, please, we're asking you to give this a try. It's, if you have questions, we're here to answer any questions, and let's see how the program goes.
Joe's question made me think too. I know this came up before, but I presume that Ecology will provide data on the food waste collection tonnage. So we'll be able to see what the usage is.
We will get a tonnage report like we do with the trash and recycling now. I'm not exactly sure what the Maryland Bio Center does on like a ticket. Like, I know what we get from the transfer station, so this might be a little different. I can kind of figure that out with Vinny and his team. But we'll definitely get some kind of report of the tonnage of food waste that they're taking.
And that's another question we can ask.
Yeah,
Is it Ecology that's coming, or is it Bevco?
so Ecology is the hauler.
Bevco.
BioDev is the
Biodev,
company.
Biodev,
And just
sorry.
So Ecology is the hauler.
Yeah.
So when we got the pricing, as you
Yeah.
know, we got pricing from Compost Crew as kind of the hauler and the facility. Ecology just gave us the price as the hauler. So all they're doing is collecting the food waste and taking it to the Bioenergy Center in Jesso.
Sorry, so no, I meant at the January 8th meeting.
Mhm.
Who is coming? Is it
It's Andrew
Bio-
Casilli. Andrew Casilli is the rep for the Maryland Bioenergy
It's the
Center.
bioenergy?
Yeah, so he is the one that oversees the facility. He's the government relations liaison.
We met
for-
him that time.
Yeah, and he's the one that got him and Vinny guided the
Mhm.
tour.
Yeah.
And he will be able to answer all of our questions, and he's the one that's gonna help us
Okay.
with literature and the program with our residents, so.
Okay,
just one other for Ecology as the hauler. On top of tonnage, it would be great to also get number of pickups. So we give an idea, we know the number of bins that are out there, just to get a sense of utilization.
Yeah, we can probably get a general idea.
with the 574 bins, how many
Yeah.
did you actually pick something
Mhm.
up at? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know some of the feedback we got when we were talking with the other municipalities that have compost crew, like for example, the feedback we got from Chevy Chase is only half their residents were partaking in that, and then of those residents, what the town manager told me, maybe 25% were actually participating on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
So like I said, in the beginning, this is going to take some time, and I think we all realize that, so.
Okay, well, some people are out of town, some people forget to put it out, so, there's all such a reasons
And-
why.
And the
May not
pickup
have
day is gonna determine a lot. I mean, we'll talk with ecology and their team. And maybe there's some feedback from the community that says maybe Friday's not the best day. If that ends up being the day, I think ecology would be willing to work with us. We've had a contract with them for many years. So, if that becomes an issue, if it's a Friday and, we need it to be a Wednesday or Tuesday or something, I think we could work something out.
Okay. Good. All right. No other questions?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
I wonder if that preferred, the hauler's preferred date of Friday is yet another step towards eliminating the Friday trash pickup. I mean, could be seen as an incremental movement towards that elimination, which is something that we discussed at the meeting last month. And I believe the town manager said at last month's meeting that the Friday trash pickup costs less than the food waste removal plan that is envisioned. Is that correct, or did I mishear that?
No, that's correct. Yeah, the second pickup's not that expensive on the trash collection, so.
I mean, there is one advantage to having the same day, which is behaviorally, people are already
Used to putting things out.
And also the compost crew picks up now on Friday.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I also think it's not adding a fourth day of pickup, so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
keeping it at 3.
I was wondering if the proposed contract might be improved with some specific added language on performance, on ecology's performance, perhaps section 5 or section 9. I raise this because ecology periodically in the past has had problems with leakage. I don't know if it's oil or hydraulic fluids from their trucks. And we saw this problem manifest itself most recently on Monday, the day before yesterday, when there were blotches or oily patches, at least throughout the south side of town, up and down streets, Frederick Avenue, Frederick Place, Kensington Parkway. There was an awful lot of those oil-based residue droppings from the yard waste pickup truck. And I know the town staff is aware of this, and I'm just wondering if the contract could be improved with some specific performance languages to keep that from happening, to keep an environmental problem like that from happening, because this is not the first time that ecology has done that, and it's an obvious problem when it does happen, and in terms of environment and sustainability. And I'm just wondering if it would be enhancing the contract where there's specific performance language included.
You can consider it. Okay, is that it?
Well, what does that mean? You can consider it. It
Well,
might
I'll
be-
let the town attorney decide if she wants to put it in the contract.
'Cause I think there are ways of doing this without making, the contract.
Joe, I gave you an
expensive.
answer. We need to move on.
Well, I would just like to be able to finish this point here, because it doesn't sound like that this problem is as recognized as it should be by the council. I mean, this is not trivial stuff, what they do.
Can I ask, Matt, I don't think do you hear from other residents about this concern?
No, only from Joe. One of the issues is that we cannot confirm that it's always ecology.
Yeah,
It could be another vehicle.
Yeah,
And that is one of the issues, when we do receive a complaint from Mr. Campbell, we do provide the information to Jesse, who's the route supervisor. They will evaluate the trucks. Obviously, there's issues with trucks periodically. There's also many, many trucks on our town streets. They are not the only trash truck that's on our
right, there are
streets.
other companies that come
There's
through
other
for the
companies.
apartment buildings. and
There's
commercial.
other commercial vehicles, and, like I said, we provide the information to Jesse and Ecology. They evaluate the trucks, and, if Mr. Campbell has video evidence that it's a specific Ecology truck, we can address it more directly than we do now. So,
The town staff has received photographic evidence of this, and it was done by Ecology's truck. I saw it. I took photos in the immediate aftermath of this. I mean, it's you can try to apportion the blame or whatever, but it's Ecology. It's not all Ecology trucks, but it's occasional
and that's the issue.
problem that Ecology has.
So
So,
I would say that we've got a 10-month initial contract with the options to renew. And I think all of us are going to be looking at how's it going? Are we giving it a good faith, effort to succeed? And for any number of reasons, we might not proceed. If they miss pickups, if people don't take advantage of it and they just throw out their food waste, if the cost goes up, we're not locked in for a very long time. I think we can just listen to public feedback, including from Joe, and decide at 10 months, do we want to go for another year?
That sounds good.
Anything else? All right, council, I'm going to make a motion. Do you have other questions?
I move that we adopt resolution number R-24-2024, a contract with Ecology for food waste pickup.
Okay.
Beginning March 1st.
Is there a second?
Aye.
All-
I second.
Okay.
I got ahead of myself.
All those in favor? Not throwing that
Aye.
out. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Last resolution, Matt?
Thank you, council. Resolution number R-25-2024 is the resolution of the mayor and town council of Kensington authorizing a contract with Waste Equip, that's the toter company, the brand toter, for the purchase of 600 13-gallon food waste bins. Exhibit A is the proposal from Waste Equip. Like I mentioned, we put a little bit of room on that for the hot stamping of the bins, and also, as I mentioned, they're going to send me a color palette. And I just wanted to take a look at it real quick to see if there was a more neutral color than the bright green option, just in case we run into a problem where we have residents that want to keep it in their kitchen, or a little closer to the house, something that's maybe not as bright.
Like a big, bright, red, blue
Yeah.
recycling container.
Yeah.
But at the same time, thinking about what the District of Columbia is going through, obnoxious enough that these aren't a desirable commodity to be
You
picking
would
up
think
off
when
the
they
street.
had food waste in them, that would be enough to make them undesirable, but.
600 of these things we're missing.
I tell you.
But to that point, we have 574 homes. We're buying 600, which only it's 25 extra. Do we want to have more on reserve, given?
Some of it is storage.
What I don't want to do is I don't want to be in a situation where we got a good price on 600. And then when we go back for another 100, we find that the price is a whole lot higher per bin because of.
Is there a break in there somewhere that we could take advantage of?
So as you mentioned, the biggest issue is storage.
Right,
And we run into this with recycling, and we had our initial recycling toter contract was with Ray Rig Pacific, and we actually had to leave them because they would not allow us to acquire under a certain number of toters. Toter has been more accommodating towards us, although we were notified that it is a third party that Toter's buying this from. We can get another breakpoint number. I don't know what that is, but again, the problem we have is storage. We have nowhere to put them. So right now, 26 bins, is enough, at least on the short term. So.
Well, not that I want to encourage this, but I'm just curious, when you started recycling and provided recycling toters, did some people say, no, thanks, you keep it?
Yes.
And then you had some extras that way?
No, we made them keep it.
Oh, you still made them keep
Yeah.
it? Okay.
well, let's
Yeah.
keep in mind, at least temporarily, that we do have, the ServPro property that we could store some bins there as well.
Yeah.
That'll be around for a little
All
while.
right, Alex can reach back out to Blake and see if there's a breakpoint on another number. In that case, I would just ask the council to amend the contract, maybe up to 25,000. Just to give us some room, and then we'll notify you what.
Do you
the
think
breakpoint
50
is.
extra is more than enough? I mean,
I feel like they're, the big toters are on wheels and nobody picks them up except for the collectors, and throws them down. I don't know how much breakage we have of those. I just see these as smaller and more likely to be broken or something.
Yeah, so
especially
we've
the
had
handles or
Yeah,
something.
we've had most of the toters for about 12 years now. I mean, we do have some issues with the wheels coming off and everything, but most of the time, we're replacing
The
toters.
lids, I think.
We're replacing the lids, but most of the time we're replacing toters from the annexation area. Or we're giving residents a second toter, which is a request quite often.
Mhm.
I mean, this looks like the same model
As
that Compost
Compost Crew,
Crew
yeah.
uses and had no issues with ours. We've been using this size for a few years now.
Okay, well, let's go up to 650 if we can, just
Okay.
see what the price is.
Okay.
If there's a break there.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the people in the audience or on the screen? Okay, can we get a motion?
Move that we adopt resolution R-25 2024 as amended to allow the town manager to purchase upwards, to use up to $25,000,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed $25,000 for the purchasing of waste equip toters.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the last item on the agenda tonight is public appearances. It's the opportunity for anybody in the audience to speak on a subject that's not already on the agenda. So if anybody in the audience has something to say, you may come up to the podium and just give your name and street. Uh-oh, watch. Don't fall on your way.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I didn't say the wrong thing, because I know
Okay,
last month I called it St. Joseph's Park, and that was wrong. And so this will save you the opportunity or the need to correct me. So hi, my name is Alicia Toledano, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak. My family and I have lived at 10606 Wheatley Street for just a few weeks shy of 15 years. When we moved back to the United States in summer 2009, we purposely took a short-term rental so we could find the best place to raise our 3 sons. We chose Kensington. We chose it because it's a genuine community. There's a mix of longtime residents and more recent residents. Our new neighbors have a new baby. It's wonderful. There's a mix of older buildings and newer buildings, older businesses and newer businesses. Our youngest works at Frankly Pizza, so we're very happy that one opened. And we have a mix of green spaces. And of course, being in the Walter Johnson School District, at least for now. That's a plus for Kensington. I'm here tonight to speak about the town's plan to sell Joseph's Park. I'm doing this before the January 8th meeting, at which the town plans to introduce an ordinance proposing to sell Joseph's Park. As a matter of principle, I cannot and will not ascribe any motives to the mayor, to town council members, town staff, or anyone else involved in the discussions of selling Joseph's Park. I only know my feelings and my motives. So I just want you to understand that I don't know yours, and so I won't tell you what they are. Town residents, including me, have provided feedback in public forums, including last month's town council meeting. This is shown in town council meeting minutes. And the majority of that feedback has been against selling Joseph's Park. My computer is doing some weird stuff. I'm so sorry. Okay. This was supposed to make it easier.
Technology.
you gotta do 22 font count and double space.
It's 12 at 140% because I forgot my reading
Yes.
glasses, all caps, because that's how we did it on the radio.
Yeah.
So, so I do appreciate the opportunities to provide the feedback. And I do wish that it felt like a two-way dialogue. Selling Joseph's Park has been on town council meeting agendas since January 2023. Since then, the town has presented multiple supports for selling Joseph's Park. I hope this happened, but I do not recall the town saying anything positive about Joseph's Park. One thing supporting selling the park was that it is small. At the November town council meeting, residents gave feedback that being small is not necessarily a bad thing. And so as a small person for the past 59 years, I was very glad to hear that. The town has also stated as further support for selling the park that nobody uses the park. Residents have stated that they use Joseph's Park since the first public meeting in early 2023. The town's response has been consistently dismissive. But I'm not a liar. My husband's not a liar. My neighbor Beth Meyer is not a liar. I believe that fellow Kensington residents who say they use the park are not liars. When we say that we go to the park, it's the truth. And it would be nice if the town could acknowledge that. The town does have a memorial park. This was mentioned at last month's meeting. It's located at a triangular intersection of busy roads. Driving past, I've never seen anyone in the park, but I know, I truly hope, but I know that there must be people who go to the memorial park. And not seeing them doesn't mean that they don't go. The proceeds from selling Joseph Park would defray the cost of the town's purchase of other land. People have asked about other possible sources of funding for the purchases that the town wants to make. Last month, we heard about increasing property taxes. It's not a new one, repeatedly, to the point that one of the town's residents stated that the town's response that evening was fear-mongering. That's how I felt too. We also learned that the town had already placed bids to buy other property. I'm happy tonight to hear Resolution R23-2024 about changing a project with up to $800,000 of funding towards buying the M&T parking lot, which would be a great purchase for the town. And just for reference, that's about twice the estimated sale price of Joseph's Park. I really think this is a positive step in the town's direction. I want to acknowledge that. We have heard repeatedly that St. Paul Park is so close by. It's only a couple of blocks away. And at the on-site meeting in early 2023, we were told that the town's committee for green space determined that we don't need Joseph's Park. But anyone who's been to both parks knows that they're very different. The town talked about alternative green space and planting new trees. And that's wonderful. But I and other residents noted that planting new trees cannot be considered a reasonable replacement for the mature trees in Joseph's Park. We heard about safety and sidewalks, and as a mom, this is very important to me as well. Even though my kids are 18, 25, and almost 27, I'm still a mom, so I still want things to be safe. So I just wanted to know that Joseph's Park has two sides. On the short side, it meets Wheatley Street with no sidewalk. But on the long side, there is an existing sidewalk. That's the Pliers Mill side. Last month, we heard that in exchange for donating the land that the town owns, where the current Public Works building is, as part of the Summit Avenue extension, with an estimated value of $930,000, the county would donate a linear park. Council member Crimmins noted that the park would be ready to use with benches and trees, and that's a good thing. I just wanted to ask, would that linear park be on this side of Connecticut Avenue?
No.
No. So I gotta say that safety concerns for crossing Connecticut Avenue, a multi-lane road in two directions used by commuters. Well, my concern about safety for crossing Connecticut Avenue is a heck of a lot bigger than my concern for the safety crossing Pliers Mill or our little Wheatley Street. On the whole, to me, it seems that the town decided to sell Joseph's Park a long time ago. And the public feedback is being sought so a box can be checked on a list of things that need to happen before selling the park. But I do think at least one of you is taking public feedback seriously. Thank you. And I think some of you heard what I and other town residents are communicating. So thank you again, and that's to everyone. Thank you for listening to me and for giving me this opportunity. And I hope that everyone will have a good rest of the night, and I wish you all happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much
much.
for your feedback.
And thank you for coming and being here in person for a long meeting to share your thoughts. Yes, thank you.
It is.
Thank you so much.
We're what?
You're on their date night.
Oh, date, I was gonna say.
I hope it's a new trend in Kensington.
Spread the word.
Hey. Is there any other items that people want to bring up? Joe?
Thank you, Mayor Furman. Townswoman who just spoke deserves kudos for her eloquence and her ability to succinctly address these issues. This is an important issue, and I was really glad to see that it was brought up this evening, even though it is very late. I also would like to echo Councilmember Engel's remarks about the leaf pickup. Those guys did a really great job, and I know it's not an easy task physically, but it's worked out well. And the I guess the as needed pickup schedule has really worked out. I was a skeptic about that early on. I thought that the zoned approach at different times of the pickup season would work better, but this is working out just fine, and they really do they do great work, and it's a demanding job, and it's not a very clean job either in terms of the debris and everything that they are exposed to. So kudos to them as well. And just finally, a quick question. Sometimes the audio is not great on Zoom here, and I noticed that you've taken away the chat function on Zoom, so you can't really alert anybody to the fact that the audio isn't so great. But nonetheless, did I hear correctly that the noise library project has a shortfall of $2 million? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you explain why that is, or did you get an explanation as to
The,
why?
the cost of the project has gone up in the time period of which they came up with that price,
Materials and labor.
materials and labor and such, yes.
I get it, but what specifically is driving this increase?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
say inflation.
Because I think the MOU is how many years old?
It's about no, maybe longer than that,
Yeah,
maybe 10 years.
I think it's nearly 10 years. So, I mean, the county was working off of a construction cost estimate from almost 10 years ago. And that cost, when they went back for updated construction costs to, this year, those costs have gone up. That's where the difference comes.
Okay, so what if the town doesn't offer up the funds to cover that shortfall? Is it going to be done? The county will do it, or what's the contingency here?
The contingency is putting it into phases, and then the foundation will raise additional money. It could come from the state. It could come from a federal earmark. They're reaching out to Senator Van Hollen to see if they can get an earmark. And then, but by putting it in different phases, you can see what you can get in this fiscal year. And like the town would, we might be able to make another donation this year, but more likely it would be better to put it in the 25-26 budget. And then that could meet the second phase.
Has the town made 2 donations to the project,
They've
or
made 3 donations
3?
totaling $75,000.
Good, thank you. And finally, I really hope that Councilmember Crimmins was joking when he suggested that maybe if there is a no leaf pickup option that the town embraces, that the south side of town be the first to be exposed to that option.
I said that in jest because Councilmember Lichter made the comment. So I said, start with her area of town.
I thought you said south side, and I was
That's
like,
where she is.
so she's kind of central town. Anyway, okay. So it's a jest. It's a joke, huh? Okay, good. On that note, thank you.
Yeah, just don't, leave my street alone.
All right, well, thank you very much. Council, I want to remind everyone that we will be meeting again on January 8th. We will be meeting by Zoom. It's wintertime, and it's easier for staff who live very far away to already be in their homes in case there is bad weather. So I want to be prepared for that. Is there anything else on the agenda that, or not on the agenda, that council wants to bring up? It's wishing everybody a happy holiday and safe travels if you're going away next week. And okay.
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
Sounds like you're ready.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I haven't asked for it yet.
I made it.
Yes, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Would somebody on this side like to give it?
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, and we'll see everyone on January 8th, and hope to see some of you tomorrow night at Flynn Park.